you're getting tiny stitches, it might be time to increase your stitch length. Why? I have got you completely covered in this video. Who am I? I am Kim. This is Quilt with Kim. You are very welcome. We are going to grab a jumper. We're going to grab some wood. I'm going to go and find my husband and ask him to tie up my legs. And I'm going to explain all. Come with me. So, thank you to my husband for tying my legs up. I have no idea where he's gone now. However, the reason for doing this is because we need to increase our stitch length when we're going over thick fabric. And this was, I thought, a really good way of demonstrating it to you. So my legs have been tied apart by 2.5 foot. As it happens, thank God for all my yoga, that's what I say. So this 2.5 foot here, the amount doesn't matter, but I was trying to reflect the 2.5 mil that is the standard stitch length on our machines. So just pretend that's 2.5 mil. And then behind me, we have these planks of wood laid out. And this one here is the equivalent to our 2.5 mil fabric thickness, if you like. So that distance there is the same as this. But when we go through thicker fabric, we have to increase our stitch length. So let me show you if I can walk over here. Look, I can do normal walking. Okay, so if this is our standard 2 layers of fabric thickness with our 2.5 mil, you can see here with my 2.5 mil distance between my legs, then the stitch very easily goes around the fabric. So the needle will go in one side of the fabric, the stitch will go across the fabric, and it will join very nicely at the other side. I know this is not exactly how it works, but just bear with me. So we can get through our standard thickness of fabric. However, look what happens when I increase my fabric thickness. So if I bring my foot over here, so this is where my needle would come up at the end of that 2.5 mil stitch length. So that's normal. This is a bit thicker now. So say you've got maybe a little bit of wadding in between, or you've got some extra layers, or you've got a seam allowance which is now thicker because you've got extra layers of fabric. I don't know why I'm so out of breath. I've only walked from the camera to here. So if I try and get through this thickness of fabric now, and I'm trying not to tread on my rope, look what happens. I can't reach the edge of my fabric. Now you may say, well, if I do it, what happens? Well, you end up with a slightly shorter stitch as the stitch pulls the fabric in, and it still has this 2.5 millimeters of thread to go through your fabric, but as it's trying to stretch over through your thickness of fabric, it will pull it in, because we've only got this to go from there to there, and I can't quite get my legs there. So what it's going to do is pull this in. So if I pull that in a little bit, I think there's a nail on the end of here, if I'm being completely honest, and it's stuck in the ground, but it has to pull that fabric in. So what you'll end up with is a shorter stitch. When you look at your stitch line, there will be a shorter stitch. So what happens when you go through lots of layers, and we've got a really thick layer here, and this is the mistake that so many people make, is they just keep the stitch length the same. And you can see already I'm stretching here. So if I go over to here, and let's just say now we have really thick wadding through our quilt, just bear with, there is a car going past. The car has gone past. So we've got a really thick piece of fabric. So let's say we've got a high loft wadding. That just means it's really thick wadding, or we've got really big seams, like thick seams, or we've got thicker fabric. Maybe we've got upholstery fabric, so it's thicker than our normal quilting cotton, or you've just got a thicker fabric. So the amount of fabric that your 2.5 mil stitch length has to go through increases quite dramatically. So if I try and do that, I can't reach it. So the only way for your stitch length, your 2.5 mil, your thread, your needles, your machine, to get through this thickness is to end up doing little little stitches. This is very ungainly. It's the only way it's going to get to the other side, is to make smaller stitches. That's the only way that it will get through that amount of fabric. You'd think I'd be able to practice at this, but I can't. But do you get what I'm saying? In order to go across increasing thicknesses of fabric, you have to increase your stitch length. And if you do that, so if your machine is struggling, all you need to do is increase your stitch length just by 0.5 mil and see if that makes any difference. So you can see here, that was another car. If you see here where it's a little bit thicker, just by increasing just by a little bit would make all the difference. And obviously if I was trying to get over there, I might want to increase my stitch length to 3.5 or 4 or something like that. Okay, so that is why you need to increase your stitch length while you're sewing through thicker fabric. So I hope that has helped. If it has, and you're having a good giggle at my expense, please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell, and I will love you and leave you for now, and I will see you next time. Bye for now. Now, has anybody seen my husband?